Hello everyone, I am back once again, and in this video I'm actually going to be showcasing a Wi-Fi match that happened in Generation 7. And it's one that actually was showcased a while ago, honestly, like it was already showcased on my channel before. What happens is that I recently decided to delete it because, to put it simply, I didn't really just like how some of the video went, honestly. Particularly, it had a lot to do with my commentary. I just didn't like how it sounded towards the end. Like, it was fine for the most part, but I didn't really like how it sounded towards the end. And because of it, I decided to remove it. In fact, it was a video that I actually wanted to remove years ago, but I didn't really have time to, because that was during the time when I was trying to get all of my Sun and Moon matches out of the way before the release of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. So because of that, I decided, you know what, let's just forget about it, honestly. Not to mention, the video also did have decent reception. I think I didn't even get any dislikes on that video, so I think that motivated me to keep it for a while, honestly. But the reason why I decided to finally release it after remove it after numerous years later, was because in the first match that I had with Chuchito, I actually did mention it. You know, the match that I had with Chuchito in Sword and Shield. Yeah, I did mention this this particular match, so. And I just kind of felt like, you know what, if I mentioned it, there's a very possible chance that somebody might actually want to go back and watch it. And I was just thinking, I didn't really like how I sounded in that video. And in fact, it was one of my least favorite videos to have ever showcased, honestly. If only because of that commentary that I laid out in that video, honestly. Which, again, was good for the most part, but I just didn't like the final part of it, which kind of came off as way too hammy, and I just didn't like it, honestly. So because of that, I just decided to remove it, which means that in order to avoid removing anything regarding the NGDL, which is the league that this match is from, I have to basically re-showcase it, honestly, and that's basically what I'm gonna do. So yeah, there's gonna be a few differences, obviously, from the original. One of the biggest ones is really just how I'm going to commentate this match. It's going to be more retrospective as opposed to contemporary, because I don't have very good recollection of this match anymore since it happened years ago. And yeah, so obviously I'm going to see what I can do to actually remember as much as what I saw. I did watch the match a few times as well, so I can kind of have an idea of what happened in this match. It was a pretty lengthy match as well, honestly. I also do think I remember speeding up the video in a few parts because it did drag a little bit, but I have been pretty slow with my commentary lately, so I think for this particular video I'm gonna actually leave it as is, honestly, so that I have time to kind of lay out or elaborate on some plays that might have happened during the match and whatnot. So yeah, I think that's everything I gotta say, right? If not, I'll point it out in the match at hand, but yeah, I just wanted to like get that all clarified before I get into the match, so you guys are not confused. I hope you guys don't think that this is like a teaser to like season 5 of the NGDL, because that's kind of not gonna happen, unfortunately. So yeah, it's just that I kind of wanted to obviously re-showcase this match in a what I consider better way, honestly. Like, it may still be all over the place, but I'd much rather it be less hammy. So yeah, with all that said, now we're going to get into the match. Alright, here we are. So, this match, before I get into it, let me quickly talk about the opponent that I have for this match. My opponent is going to be Fat Jesus. Fat Jesus is actually a longtime follower of the snack, aka the Killer Nacho, the creator of the NGDL. And this match actually took place in the finals because he and I both managed to make it. I actually do remember having a very good run, actually, in this league. In fact, I'll actually leave the playlist of the first season of the NGDL so you guys can watch it, honestly, if you guys want to, obviously. So you guys can see how decent of a run it was. Although the losses that I did take on the way were actually excruciatingly painful if you actually watch it from my perspective, honestly. Because they were just some of the worstest that I've ever had in my life, honestly. Even though they were like just a few losses, they were huge losses in my opinion. But yeah, so but regardless of all that, I was actually able to overcome those bracket demons in the playoffs, and as a result I was able to make it to the finals. I think Fat Jesus did something similar as well, where he actually was able to overwhelm the Killer Nacho, who actually I think beat him in the regular season as well. As for me, I actually did beat this guy in the regular season as well, 5-0 in fact, which kind of gave me confidence to possibly beat him if he actually managed to make the finals. I was actually more scared of the Killer Nacho actually making it to the finals, actually. But thankfully I didn't have to deal with him at the time, and instead I got Fat Jesus, obviously. Now, something worth noting, if you actually watch the match that I had with Fat Jesus in the regular season, you'll notice that his team is actually drastically different. And yeah, what happens is that unlike your typical draft leagues where you simply just have to traverse through all your opponents in the bracket in order to get to the finals and win, in this bracket for the NGDL, there's actually a little twist where you can actually swap 2 Pokemon. I think regardless of what tiers they're in, or what points they have, you can actually swap any of the 2 mons from the opponents that you beat in the playoffs, and you can use that for your team against your next opponent, and you just keep on repeating that process until you get to the end. Fat Jesus was actually able to capitalize on this very well, so his team looks drastically different and was able to create this monstrosity of a team that he has right here. Unfortunately for me, I personally didn't find anything in my opponent's teams that I wanted to swap out in order to make my team much better, honestly. In fact, I was kind of content with the team that I had right now. It did help me throughout the regular season after all, with a few major blowouts not favoring me whatsoever, but I think I didn't have to worry about that very much since I was able to handle Fat Jesus the first time, honestly, I felt. But yeah, so this is a match that this was the first season of the NGDL, so I was kind of like really hoping that I could actually win this match, because it would be nice to have a championship title of the NGDL under my belt. But obviously, before we're gonna see how that all comes down to, obviously, or how it all ends and whatnot. But yeah. Now, honestly, despite being confident in being able to take down Fat Jesus, honestly, even with this radical change of a team, there were some concerns, obviously, that I had, honestly. Particularly the fact that he has a Mega Manectric and a Rotom Wash. Because previously he had a Rotom Heat, but now he has a Rotom Wash, which is kind of a lot more scarier for Skarmory and Sharpedo, honestly. Because those things can just pivot, and I don't actually have any electrical immunities, which means if they Volt Switch all the time, they can just pivot endlessly. And they also have Landorus Tea on top of that, which means they can pivot even more, and that would just, make things even, worse for me, honestly. The goal with this team that I have right now is that Cradily has to set up rocks, Skarmory has to set up spikes, and then from there, force as many switches as possible so that the team gets crippled. If he has any defog users, which I believe were the Rotom and I think the Skuntank, honestly, that could have defog, try to use those opportunities to set up with either Kartana, Sylveon, or depending on how crippled the team is in general, even Sharpedo. But it's all going to come down to whether or not I can get those hazards up, because that's the only way I'm going to get around this guy's team, honestly. But here we go. So here we go. This is the match with Fat Jesus. I'm going to lead off with Cradily, because like I said earlier, the goal is to set up the hazards as soon as possible so that I can just start running house on this guy's team. He is going to lead off with the Skuntank, which isn't exactly a favorable matchup for me, so I decided to switch out the Cradily so it doesn't take too much damage. I think in retrospect I should have just gotten the rocks up, but I think maybe I was just aware of the fact that this thing could have defog. I wasn't sure if it did or not, but I wanted to scout that out as soon as I could. I did switch into Skarmory. This will also give me the idea if this thing has Flamethrower, and he doesn't seem to because he switches out into Porygon. I get the spikes up, which is cool. But now I have to switch out because I know these things do like to have Thunderbolt, and I don't want my Skarmory to take any damage, especially because I need this for the Landorus Tea. So I go back into Cradily. He is going to reveal the Thunderbolt, which is kind of why I was glad that I managed to switch into this Cradily. And good thing I had at least a resistance to electricity in the form of Cradily. Unfortunately, he does get the paralysis on me, which is kind of annoying, honestly, because, this would be a not very ideal time to be getting paralysis, because that can actually ruin the whole match for me, honestly. So he's going to go back into Skuntank here because he knows that I can actually take any Thunderbolts here. This kind of gave me the impression that maybe he doesn't have Ice Beam. I did try to go for Toxic in case he tried to go into something else. He ends up going into Skuntank though, which is kind of unfortunate. If I had Earth Power, I don't remember if Cradily can actually get Earth Power. I could have sworn that maybe it could have, honestly. But it would have been nice to have that here, honestly, against the Skuntank so that I can, discourage it from switching in every time. Yeah, I switched into Skarmory to see if he has the Flamethrower. He doesn't actually reveal the Flamethrower, but he does reveal the Defog. For those who are wondering, by the way, this Skuntank actually never has Flamethrower, actually. He's going to reveal his whole moveset in a bit, honestly, but yeah. In the meantime, he's just going to switch back into the Porygon. I'm going to set up the spikes once again. I'm going to switch out the Skarmory once again. Go back into Cradily once again. However, here, unlike the last turn where he went for Thunderbolt, he's now going to reveal the Ice Beam. And this Ice Beam, unfortunately, does kind of a lot of damage, so I think I had to switch out into something else right here, actually. As for what that is, I don't remember what it was. Well, actually, no. I think here I try to go for the Stealth Rocks, I think. And I get fully paralyzed here, actually, as he switches back into the Skuntank. Yeah. Takes Spikes damage, though, which is good. But I would have really liked to have gotten the rocks up here as well. But that might have been in vain because he did switch back into the Skuntank, and the Skuntank does have the Fog, so maybe this was a pointless move, or pointless turn altogether, honestly. So I decided to switch out again, and here's where he reveals another of his moves on the Skuntank, and it's the Pursuit, which, yeah, does a lot, but he did get a crit, which only reduced the longevity of Credilli, unfortunately. So that kind of just makes matters all the more difficult for me. I go into this Gallade because I wanted to see if I could scare him out into thinking that I'm going to just go for close combat and that it would be boosted by Choice Band or something, or even Life Orbed. But he doesn't end up switching out at all and just goes for the raw Poison Jab. And to make matters worse, he gets the poison on this thing as well. So this guy is just straight up getting lucky on a lot of situations. He tries to finish me off with Sucker Punch here, but I was just thinking, you know what? I'm already dead with this thing already. He's not going to be able to do much. And I'm just going to freaking go for the Memento, which was actually a move that I actually had prepared for a mon like maybe Landorus Tea, or even the Torterra, honestly. But I didn't think Skuntank was going to be my biggest issue in this match. Here I go into Kartana, and I was kind of hoping like he wouldn't reveal the Flamethrower here yet, but he actually ended up switching out. So I think this is where it confirmed to me that he didn't have Flamethrower at all. I managed to get a Swords Dance up right here. And here's where I commit the first of many misplays in this match. He switches in Landorus, gets the Intimidate off, but I am at +1 still with this Kartana, so I should be able to go for the Leaf Blade and get some damage on this thing. Unfortunately, I think I was just way too preoccupied with Kartana not taking any damage whatsoever, and just switching out back into Skarmory, which is kind of unfortunate because this Landorus not taking any damage is gonna not help me pressure this guy's team a little bit, and force him to mess up a lot more. So yeah, that was a misplay on my part. He's going to go back into Porygon, and I just whirlwind him back into what I was hoping would be the Torterra, but it just ended up being the Skuntank again, which means he's just going to defog now. I probably should have went for the Brave Bird here, honestly, but I kind of wanted to see what else he can do, honestly. He went for the defog, which, yeah. Like, again, I had a lot of opportunities to just take out this Skuntank, and for some reason I just never did. I think I was over-predicting a lot of things here. Like, I think I was expecting him to switch into something like maybe Rotom or something. And he just didn't end up doing so, so I just had to switch back out. I think the only good thing about switching in Credilli was just the passive recovery that I was getting with leftovers. Here he's going to try to go for Poison Jab. I just go back into Skarmory. I think he switches this thing out yet again. He goes back into the Porygon 2, which is annoying. I hate this thing, by the way. I hate this thing a lot. Because this thing is one of the most bulky mons ever, and doesn't really go down very easily. I tried setting up spikes once again so that at least he's pressured to, you know, keep on switching back in the Skuntank and cripple it little by little every time he comes in. Here I hard switch into Sylveon so that my Credilli doesn't take an Ice Beam. He goes for the Thunderbolt again, and again he gets the Paralysis, which is insane, honestly. Like, how the hell does he get Paralysis, then Poison, then Paralysis, then Crit? Like, seriously. This guy is like getting all sorts of RNG just like Chuchito did in my match with Sword and Shield, you know? Which is insane. But yeah, here he's going to switch out the Porygon 2 again, going to Landorus Tea, which, yeah, kind of makes sense. I think here I just went for the Hyper Voice expecting a switch. Unfortunately, I did get fully paralyzed yet again, which is unfortunate, because this would have also allowed me to get damage on the Landorus Tea. And if I had attacked this thing with Kartana earlier, this Landorus Tea would have probably gone down, or he would have switched in something else, like maybe Rotom, and have that take damage instead. This could have been a very good turn for me, honestly, if I had at least had attacked this Landorus Tea, honestly. But alas, and if I didn't get fully paralyzed, but I got paralyzed anyway. Here I hard switched into Skarmory, obviously, because I kind of had a feeling he was going to want to go for Earthquake. He just ended up going for the U-turn, and thankfully took damage from the Rocky Helmet. But now he's going to go into Rotom, and that's not good from Skarmory at all, honestly. So I have to go back into Credilli to see what he wants to do. He's most likely just going to go for the Volt Switch, which he does. And I think here he's just going to go back into Skuntank again, which is unfortunate. And I think he's here where I decide to finally... Oh yeah, no, he actually goes into Landorus Tea again. To which I think I go back into Skarmory, actually. Because, yeah, no, I didn't want to lose to Credilli. I think if I were to lose this Credilli, it would have to be to the Skuntank, honestly. But I didn't want Landorus to be the one to take this thing out, honestly. especially if I anticipate the move to be Earthquake. And if he goes for U-turn again, then I'm just going to punish it with Rocky Helmet. So I decided to go back into Skarmory for that, honestly. He is going to go for the U-turn again, so therefore punish with the Rocky Helmet yet again, while taking little to no damage, which is really, really good, since I do want this Skarmory to be as healthy as possible. Unfortunately for me, this also does mean that he's just going to go back into the Rotom, and I'm just going to go back into Cradily. See, this is why this match was pretty lengthy, honestly, was because there was like just a lot of switching around, honestly. I really wanted to get the rocks up with Cradily, but there was just no opportunity for me to. Because this Landorus and this Rotom are not taking any hazards damage because both of these mons are airborne, and therefore they don't take any spikes damage. That's why I wanted the rocks up, because the rocks would definitely give them some damage every time they switch in. But then there was also this Skuntank to worry about, which was always constantly defogging my hazards every single time. I think it's here where I finally decided to let this Cradily go down, because yeah, this switching around was just getting kind of tedious for me. I'll admit that I was starting to kind of lose my patience here, honestly. I think I could have just switched back into Skarmory, honestly, and just try to take this thing out, and then if he sends in like Rotom or something, just go for the rocks, or the spikes, not rocks, the spikes, just to like have some hazards after this Skuntank goes down. Here I send in Sharpedo, but I don't even try to attack it once again, and just switch back into Skarmory. I guess I was afraid of taking damage from the Aftermath, but I think it would have been in my interest to actually have taken this thing out so that it stops defogging my hazards away. Here, I think I try to go for spikes yet again, and he's going to switch back into the Rotom once again. So I think here I just have to switch in the Sylveon, which is my only other mon that can take electrical hits very well, because Kartana cannot take any special attacks well, even resisted, honestly, because its Spadef is really, really bad. For those who don't remember, Kartana was a very powerful mon, attack-wise, but defensively, only its physical defense was pretty good, and its Spadef was pretty bad. I think its HP was also pretty, it was pretty meh. It was like, it wasn't very good, honestly. But it wasn't very bad either, I think. I could be wrong on that, though. But anyways, here, he's gonna now hard switch into the Landorus T, I think. Oh no, he Volt switched into Landorus T. So, yeah, I was just left in a tight situation again. Had to go back into Skarmory, obviously, because, you know, I didn't want to take any damage on the Sylveon. The Sylveon is kind of what I need to be able to take electrical hits from Mega Manectric and Rotom, because Skarmory definitely can't. He's going to go for the Earthquake, and now here, instead of going for the U-turn, he's actually going to hard switch, which kind of tells me that this thing was probably choiced, honestly. I don't know if Bandit or Scarf, but it was definitely going to be able to, you know, lock itself into a move. He's going to go into the Rotom, and I just go for the Whirlwind, expecting this. This is where the rocks would have been nice, honestly, because I would just be phasing him into airborne mons that would take rocks damage, honestly. But yeah, this Landorus T is just going to simply switch out again. Going to go back into the Rotom. I think I still go for the Whirlwind. Yeah, I'd go for the Whirlwind until I get a favorable matchup, and I think eventually I just get him into the Skuntank again. Oh no, it was the Porygon 2, never mind. Yeah, the Porygon 2 it was. And I think here's where I decide to switch out yet again, actually. I go into Sylveon, I believe. Now here, I don't remember, I could be wrong on this, but I think this is the turn where things started to get very, very dicey for me. He's gonna go for another Thunderbolt. Doesn't do too much, thankfully. Well, it kind of does a lot, actually, now that I think about it. Considering it's not a stab move, it actually does a fair amount. But yeah, the Sylveon was more defense invested than Spadef invested, honestly, so maybe that's why it did a lot on anyway, honestly. Here, I decided to go for the Wish, because I didn't want the Sylveon to be crippled, but he does hard switch into the Skuntank right here. And this kind of does force me to switch out yet again. I think I tried to switch back into Skarmory, if not just go for the Protect and just try to, you know, do something else. But okay, I don't actually Protect, I actually hard switch into Skarmory again, because again, the Poison Jab is just not something I want my Sylveon to take, especially since I need this for the electrical, quote-unquote resistance to, you know, the Mega Manectric and the Rotom. He is going to unfortunately go for Defog again, and this is the part where I was just like, I realized I put myself in a trap here, because now he guaranteed gets rid of all of my hazards, because he went for Defog, I went for the spikes again, and he's just going to Defog again, honestly. Like, now I cannot do anything to have the hazards stay for good, honestly. The only way I can do that is if I can actually just take this thing out and then send Skarmory back in somehow, despite him having 2 electrical mons at his disposition, and then start to, you know, set them up afterwards, which I don't know if that's even possible at this point. Here I hard switch into Sharpedo, expecting another Defog from this guy, and I now finally decide to attack this thing, but Unfortunately, because I didn't attack him earlier, now he's going to know that I'm going to try to attack him. So now he's going to pull off the Sucker Punch on me. And this was his, yeah, that was his final move, which he already revealed earlier, honestly. But yeah, I go for the Crunch, and yeah, the Aftermath is going to kick in. This was what I was worried about, but at this point, this Skuntank was actually proving to be quite an inconvenience by always defogging all of my hazards. I think this was the thing that annoyed me about the Skuntank, was him just defogging all of my hazards, basically thwarting my plan of hazard stacking him. So yeah, he is playing this match pretty well, actually. Because I think I at the time I didn't really expect him to play this well, honestly, I'll be honest with you. So maybe I underestimated him a little bit. But yeah, now he's going to go into Porygon, and I just hard switch into Sylveon, obviously, because I don't want Sharpedo to take a Thunderbolt. I think here's where he takes advantage of my switch to actually pull off this. This right here. Which, yeah, is actually going to be the Z conversion, and if I'm not mistaken, I think the Z conversion actually turns him into an electrical type, which means Thunderbolt will now do more, and on top of that, all of his stats are at +1. Which is scary. At first, I thought this thing was gonna be possibly Eviolite, but it turned out to be the Z conversion set, which is like, yeah, I completely forgot at the time that this was a thing, honestly. So yeah, here I went for the Wish, I think it was. Oh no, I just got leftovers basically. Here I tried to go for a Wish, I think. Oh no, I went for the Hyper Voice to see how much it did actually. Yeah, I went for the Hyper Voice to see how much it did, and then I get the Wish. I went for Wish initially when I think he went for the Z conversion. I don't remember how it all went down, but I just know that I was keeping myself healthy with a Sylveon by wishing and then just going for Hyper Voice. I did do a decent amount of damage despite the +1 that this thing got. I think it's thanks to the fact that it's not Eviolite anymore because, you know, it has a Z move and shit. But here's just going to go for Recover, and this was the opportunity I was trying to take to actually go for a Calm Mind so I can take the Thunderbolts a lot better. Unfortunately, the paralysis kicked in once again, which means I'm not going to be able to do anything. And this Thunderbolt is doing a lot of damage. He even gets a crit here, which means that now I have to Wish Protect instead of Wish Calm Mind. Which, yeah, was terrible. And despite all the misplays that I made throughout this match, this was looking like a possible salvaging of the match if Sylveon managed to get at least a couple Calm Minds up. Maybe even set up to +6 and just destroy him altogether, honestly. But unfortunately, this paralysis really just became an inconvenience, honestly. The fact this guy got this shit 2 times in a match when this thing only has a 10% chance to get paralysis is just insane, honestly. But yeah, here I was able to thankfully get the Wish Protect off here, honestly. Unfortunately, right here, I tried to go for a Calm Mind yet again, and I get paralyzed yet again, which is insane, honestly. Like, how can he get so many paralysis, like, at the precise moment that I need it to not get paralysis? And I get paralysis yet again. So now I just literally cannot do anything. I think now I remember why I sounded very hammy at this final portion of the match. It's because looking at this was very painful for me. Even in retrospect, it was difficult for me to watch this. Because, goddamn, this did not have to happen, honestly. I was not supposed to lose this Sylveon this early. I was supposed to get a few Calm Minds up and blow this damn Porygon away. Now because I lost Sylveon, I just sent in Sharpedo here, and I have to basically reveal to him what I was trying to go for on either his Landorus or his Rotom or even Mega Manectric. And it was to Destiny Bond one of those mons because I actually wanted the Landorus T more because Landorus T with that Intimidate was just going to be pretty annoying. And Sylveon could definitely take hits from Mega Manectric to just, you know, Hyper Voice them away. Same with Rotom, honestly. So, yeah, unfortunately, I was not able to do it. I had to use the Destiny Bond right here with the Porygon. Which, yeah, it does take it out, thankfully. So no +1 shenanigans from this thing. But unfortunately, I lost the one thing that was kind of like the saving grace of this match in Sylveon. And now I just got Skarmory and Kartana. Kartana is not going to be able to outspeed Mega Manectric because it's slower, and on top of that, its Spadef sucks, so it's just going to go down to a Flamethrower. Even if it doesn't have Flamethrower, Thunderbolt's probably going to take it out in 2 hits, and I'm not going to be able to do much, honestly. Here, I just sent in Skarmory trying to, I don't know. I honestly didn't even know what the hell I was doing here, honestly. I think I just knew I lost this here, and wanted to phase him into something that Skarmory can actually dish out damage to. But this guy's actually going to be quite a savage and not let me attack anything else on his team that isn't this damn Rotom. And I can't do anything to this Rotom. Remember when I said in the match with Chuchito that match was actually the worst match ever? because of all the RNG that was happening in that match in Sword and Shield. Well, forget about that, honestly. This match still is the worst match ever, actually. I take it all back what I said about the match with Chuchito. In fact, this match is so terrible that it makes the match with Chuchito look like a very fair match, like a very clean, not so dirty match on the game's part. Makes the game look super honest in comparison. Because this was a match that had something at stake, the championship title. And because of this RNG that happened in this match, I now lose that championship title. And let it be known that this was actually the closest I ever was to getting a championship title in the NGDL, honestly. Because let it be known that in future seasons, I was never able to do as well as I did here, honestly, in this season. I think in this season, I think I went like 11-3 or some shit like that. Yeah, 11-3. But yeah, in the playoffs, I kind of underestimated Fat Jesus a little bit, I'll be honest with you. And I did misplay a lot too, honestly. Like, there was times where I could have attacked a number of his mons and for some reason just decided not to, honestly. And yeah, that ended up costing me. But the RNG in this match was not helping things either, honestly. It just made things even worse for me. So yeah, this match was definitely the worst match ever. And it's in Gen 7, which is kind of crazy because for me, in Generation 8, all of my matches have been pretty damn, like, unfortunate. Like, I lose a lot of them because at least a tiny piece of RNG goes a long way for my opponents, to their benefits. But in Gen 7, yeah, like, I did have some bad luck moments as well, but not as much, honestly. However, this particular match that I had in Sun and Moon was, in fact, the worst. I played badly, my opponent was playing pretty well that it became obnoxious, and to make matters worse, the RNG was just a bitch, like it always has been, honestly. So yeah, I lose this match. It was terrible. And I'd be lying to you. I'll admit, it was not Fat Jesus' fault that this RNG stuff happened, honestly. But needless to say that I'm super glad and satisfied that in the future, I was actually able to come face to face with this fella once again and actually get the run back against him. Because there was actually a time when he for some reason, I think I remember wanting to battle him again, and he just tried dodging me and started to sound very patronizing, like being all like, nah, I'm not gonna battle you or some shit like that. Like he sounded like he was like he was above me or some shit, honestly. Like he sounded very patronizing in my opinion. That he kind of like left me a little bit bitter, like bittersweet, honestly. Like this was all after he beat me in this match, because I was not able to battle him for quite a while until Season 4, I believe it was, of the NGDL, which was the final season of the NGDL, by the way. It was then that I was able to finally get the run back against this guy. And thankfully, I beat him both times, because I did have to play him twice in that season. And I did play him one more time in the EBA as well. Would have been a fourth time if he actually didn't choose to forfeit in the final week of the EBA. But, yeah. So, yeah, losing here sucks, because I was never going to be able to get a NGDL championship title ever again from here on out, basically. If you want to know who won the later seasons, well, obviously, yeah, Fat Jesus won Season 1. In Season 2, it was my good pal Soulfire who won it, which was awesome, because I didn't make the playoffs, so it's nice to see a friend actually win a season for once, honestly. Well, not for once, but, you know, to see them win for the first time ever, actually, which was pretty cool. Season 3, I don't actually want to mention the guy from Season 3, honestly, because Season 3, I actually remember not liking this guy, and I don't know if I still hate him to this day, but, like, I just don't want to remember this guy, honestly, because I really loathed that guy back in the day. But anyways, Season 4, Captain Beanard won that shit, so, yeah. I was never able to get a championship whatsoever. I did make the playoffs in Season 4, but I lost to the Killer Nacho in that match, so, yeah. I think Season 2 was literally my favorite season of all the seasons that happened in the NGDL, actually. Just because Soulfire won. In the other seasons that followed, I didn't really care who won, honestly. If it wasn't Soulfire or the Killer Nacho, I didn't care who won that season, honestly. This season, I was close to winning it, but I wasn't able to because, you know, RNG is just that much of a bitch, honestly. I've already told you guys that my luck has never been exactly the greatest, honestly. There's even been portions where I've had to literally outplay the hacks in order to actually win. And because of it, a lot of the matches that I've had usually come close to, you know, close to the wire, basically. But yeah, yeah, that's basically all I gotta say. I lost to Fat Jesus. Yeah, this match was a very painful loss, obviously. But being able to beat this guy 3 more times later on was actually all the more satisfying. And kind of makes up for the fact that I didn't get the championship title here. Also puts this guy's ego away a little bit as well, so that he can stop patronizing me the next time he fucking plays me. But yeah, anyways. By the way, I apologize if I mentioned that, honestly. It's just that, you know, I actually was left bittersweet for a while now because this guy was trying to dodge me ever since he beat me that one time. I don't know if it was intentional or not. It did seem that way, though. I'll be honest with you. He could probably deny it or something, but he did come off that way. And this guy was kind of like the example that I mentioned in the match with Chuchito, where, you know, when people beat me in Generation 7, they don't want to battle me again, and they start running their mouths and getting all cocky with me because, you know, they beat me, and I wasn't able to beat them. And, you know, that kind of stuff always left me very, very bittersweet, obviously. But, yeah, it is what it is. I got my satisfaction here now. So, yeah. But the reason why I showcased this match again is just because I didn't want this match to be erased, honestly. I did lose to this guy regardless of whether or not this match was fair or not. So, yeah, and this is part of NGDL's history, and I don't want it to be erased whatsoever. In fact, I think it's also pretty decent that I actually showcase it again anyway, because now it's in 1080p, quote-unquote, honestly, just because, you know, I actually scaled it up. Because I think originally it was like 720p, so now it's 1080p, which is nice. But yeah, so that's going to be the whole match. Now, with this out of the way, now I can actually freaking go to the Sword and Shield matches again, and the Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pro matches, because, yeah, I just wanted to get this match out of the way. I was actually kind of lazy when it came to making this match. So, yeah, but now I got it out of the way, thankfully. So, for those who watched, thank you for watching. Hope to catch you guys for the next match when I get to it. And for now, just take it easy, and have yourselves a good one.